A little while ago I showed you how you can make a nice elegant 4-claw setting, no soldering, from one piece of wire, and now it's time to set a nice little 4mm faceted gemstone into it. My name is Andrew Berry and welcome to At the Benches YouTube channel. So this is a setting that I made up previously. The description and it's got a 4-claw square claws, as you can see, and we've got a nice gorgeous faceted amethyst stone, and you can put those claws, you can make those claws, you can file those claws nice and angular. That's going to look really striking. So this is the setting that we made up a little while ago. I'll link the film just by here. Don't watch it just yet. We'll get to the end of the film so you see what I'm going to do, then go back, click on the film and watch it. Okay, so it's had a pre-polish. I haven't rouged it yet, but I'm not going to rouge it just yet. And we've got a nice little garnet that we're going to set into the top. Now, because the claws are square, I don't really want to remove claws. Now, a lot of times when you come to makeup settings and then set the stones into them, you'd use something what's called a setting burr. Just something like this, where it's got a 45-degree angle here and it's got straight sides coming down. Now, the advantage with this is you can use this to come straight down, get the right size, you can go straight down into the setting, but a lot of those claws, those prongs, are going to be taken away. Now, I don't really want to do that. I want to try and keep the tops of the claws, the prongs, intact, because we've got that gorgeous square look about it. So instead of using a straight-sided setting burr like this, we are going to be using this type of burr, and this is a 90-degree setting burr. Hasn't got straight sides, the edges are nice and slim and they're at 90 degrees. I'm going to be using this to cut into the claws themselves. So we're not cutting downwards, taking the claws away, we're going to be cutting into the claws. Depending on the type of stone that you've got, if it's a shallow stone or it's a deep stone, you're going to have to make some adjustments as we go on. I haven't cut the setting off and put it into a ring shank or anything just at the moment. I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm just simply going to show you how we're going to set it, and that's the reason now why we're going to be holding it in this ring clamp. Whereas if you had this soldered into a ring, you'd have the whole ring in here. So what do we need to do? We need to get the stone, we need to pop the stone on top, and just to see how we're looking. You can adjust the claws in and out. Make sure you use a pair of parallel pliers so you can be sure that you get the claws coming in evenly and go at 90 degrees and opposites each time to bring those claws in or take the claws out. Now, depending on how far you have cut the claws coming down the setting, depending on how far you've come down, it will depend on how far those claws come out. So they may just be coming out gently, or they may be coming out at quite a wide angle. If you have them coming out at quite a wide angle, there's a chance they're going to have to cut away too much claw, and that's not going to be very good at all. You need to try and keep the strength in the claw. Preferably at least a third of the metal has to be left to give that claw just enough strength to hold on to the stone. Okay, so we're going to get our flex shaft and get our 90-degree setting burr. Now, one little trick that you can do, if you find that your setting burrs are brand new and they're quite aggressive, what you can do is with this particular type of pendant motor here, we can actually put it into reverse. Now, I know the teeth are angled and they cut in one direction, but if you flick the switch and turn the pendant motor or your flex shaft in the opposite direction, what you will find is that it'll cut slower, but it won't be so aggressive. And sometimes if you're using a small little burr and you're trying to just gently ease away and take away a little bit of metal from the claw, sometimes the burr will grab onto the claw and the burr will be taken around and around. It'll damage the claw itself. It'll just run around the claw. But by putting this into reverse, it'll cut a lot slower and you'll have much better control, and you're less likely for that burr to grab onto the claw and damage it. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we're doing. So I'm just going to switch the pendant motor into reverse, and that's going to give us a much better control. What I'm going to do is just get a pair of dividers now and just put the pair of dividers to approximately about 1.5 millimeters. And because we've got the tops of the claws that we have filed nice and straight, I can come along and just put some marks on those claws coming down from the top, just so then I can be sure that we're going to get the level bearings. And we're going to cut right on those little lines we're just putting into place. That'll ensure the stone then will stay nice and level. And with the burr now turning in the opposite way, we can come in at those lines and just gently stroke where we need to go. Always bracing. I got my finger here, I'm bracing and making all these little marks nice and accurate. Just going in ever so gentle to start off with. Little bit and often. You can just see now where those seats are cut. Once you're happy with those initial little marks, just get your stone, bring your stone into place and just have a look. I'm not expecting any miracles just yet with the stone fitting into place just yet, but we're going to go and carry on just cutting those seats exactly where we need them. And by using this burr, you can see that we're still keeping the tops of the claws in that nice diamond shape. Whereas if we came down with this type of burr, we would have actually removed a lot of that claw. And that is not something that we wanted to do. Okay, now what you may find is that because the burr has just kicked up a little bit of swarf on the edges of the claws, do it now before the stone goes into place, because once the stone goes into place, it'll be very difficult to get rid of it. Okay, it's looking nice and neat. Let's grab the stone and let's just pop the stone down into place. I'm not looking for the stone to drop in. It won't be able to drop in because of the way we have the claws cut. So just looking, just assessing the situation. I'm not going to try and push the stone down into place. If I try to do that, there's a chance that we're going to crack the stone. So what I'm going to do, I may end up marking the claws, which I don't really want to do, but we're just going to ease out these two claws here just to the side a little bit. pop the stone into place. Obviously we've taken these two claws out so we can push the stone in. Will the stone go into place and drop down? Let's have a look. Yes, it will. Gorgeous. As we've used these claws to be pushed back, we can now just ease those two claws back into place. I'm using flat nose pliers for this, and we can just ease those claws back over towards the stone. Just like that. That's going to hold the stone in nice and neat. Look down on top. Make sure now that your arrangement of claws are nice and straight. One little tip you can do, if you've got a little bit of movement in those claws, what you can do is just squeeze opposite claws together. Turn it 90 degrees. Just squeeze these claws together. Come 90 degrees, squeeze. And that way you're going to make sure that that stone is going to be really nice and tight. Now you need to make sure now the distance between these claws are exactly the same as well. Let's just take it out of the clamp so you can have a look. So get the gauge, and you can measure the distance now between each claw. That's 5 millimeter, 5 millimeter, that's 4.9, and that's 4.9. So we're 1/10 of a millimeter on these two claws here. This claw is 5 millimeter. Let's just ease these together a fraction. Nice. Okay, so that's what we've got. We've got that set in, looking absolutely gorgeous. We've got these fantastic shaped claws. Now you can do what you want with the claws. I'm going to just get a nice needle file, and this is a safety backed file. The back here is nice and smooth. We've taken the teeth off the edge of this file as well, so it's not going to damage our stone, and you can shape the claws in whatever way you want to. Now you can carry on, make them nice and square, or you can come along and just angle them slightly, rounding the edges so they are more sort of claw and gothic like. So I'm just going to just gently round off the ends, making the claws a bit more pointed, like this one here. And we can go around the rest of the claws now, keeping the back here nice and square, but just rounding off the front part of it, just to get a gorgeous, gorgeous talon-like claw. Make sure there's no little burrs. Make sure the claws aren't too sharp. You don't want them catching in anything. Nice. Okay, then we can come along with a bit of a wheel just to go over the tips of the claws. Give them a bit of a polish. Taking care you don't run that too much onto the stone, especially if it's a stone is a soft stone. This is a little bit of pre-polish, a little bit of tripoli. Just going over these claws, smooth them all down. There we go, looking good. And then we get a bit of a rouge mop now in our flex shaft, and we can go over those claws now, making sure they're all nicely polished up, The setting is lovely and shiny as well. There we go. And that is how we set a stone into our no solder 4-claw setting from one piece of wire. Ideally, you would put this setting into your ultrasonic or a nice warm water with a bit of soap just to get rid of all those polishing compounds. But as you can see, we've got this gorgeous setting now. And because we are running that pendant motor, our flex shaft in reverse, the burr isn't going to grab, isn't going to sort of rip away the claw unexpectedly. And by able to brace your hands against the ring or the ring clamp as well, you've got really good control over exactly where you're taking that metal from. So if you can put it in reverse, brilliant idea. It's a little bit slower, but as you can see, it's a lot more controlled. And I think that is a nice, gorgeous, gorgeous talon-shaped claw setting. I think people have been asking, can you make this type of setting from round wire? Yes, you can. It's no problem at all. Exactly the same way, but you will have a little bit more of a problem when you come to mark out the lines for the claws, because with a square, you've got reference points. With a round, you don't. So it's going to be a lot more difficult when it comes to marking the claws out, but the principle is exactly the same. You can leave the claws as they are with a bit more of an angle and a rounded back if you wanted to, or you can simply get the file and just put the triangular file up. Once you've cut the claws, you can make the claws as near as round as possible. It's entirely up to you. So there we go, 2 little gorgeous settings there. And obviously what I would do is cut the setting off the bar, off the wire, and solder onto the ring or onto a pendant or onto a brooch before the stone is set into it. Purely done it this way, just for demonstration purposes. So there we go, that is how we set a gorgeous faceted stone into our no solder setting. Don't forget, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Don't forget, smash that little bell icon just by there. Smash that little bell icon if that is something that you're into, to be notified when films go live on our YouTube channel. Please give this film a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget, please share it with your friends. I'd absolutely love you to. But in the meantime, my name's Andrew Berry for At The Benches YouTube channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. This is a continuation. This is part 2. My name's Andrew. My name. Ooh.